All right, good afternoon, everyone. Again, to God be the glory as you continue to bless everyone here, and our prayers continue to go out to everyone that unfortunately there with the Hurricane Matthew and all the people there with the unfortunate situations that occurred. And we pray that they continue to get resolved throughout the East Coast there, and I know to pray for those lives too that have been lost, and again we continue to pray for them. I think the positives from this past week, number one, we got rested, got a chance to kind of get relaxed on a few things of that nature as far as our football team. I thought it was well done on what we're trying to get accomplished. I think also from the past 5 ball games, I think overall our defense has played well. I think we have finalized our quarterback situation, so that's great there to look forward as we continue on in our conference play. I thought also overall our special teams have improved from last year of what we've been trying to get accomplished. Kennesaw State, they're a good football team. I think a lot of credit has to go to Brian Bohannon, their head football coach. He's a former offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech and has done a lot of great things there in their program. Again, only their second year playing college football, and their record speaks for itself of being 4-1. I think it's been 10-6 or whatever in the games that they've been played so far. Their offense, they ball control. Their offense, a spread option, maybe the phrase that they use. Again, they control the ball. They kind of get the 4 yards, they get 10 yards, and I think the thing that has exploited them to have an opportunity to be very explosive this year has been the aspect of being able to throw the football. I think they've been very, 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 very good in the pass efficiency as far as throwing the football. They really have done a great job there. Again, and they're averaging somewhere around 35, 40 points a game, and that speaks for itself that they can score points. And so we got to find ways to get off the football field. The interesting thing is that the quarterback situation, they lost their starting quarterback, and they played 2 other guys, and they haven't lost a beat. In some cases, they maybe have gotten maybe a little bit better. I think they've been mostly using a kid by the name of Chandler Burks is doing a very good job being able to throw the ball, being able to be efficient in running the offense. He runs the ball. He runs distributing the ball out in their option game. Again, they doing everything they've been doing with the former quarterbacks that they've had. And I think the big thing there is they added a big-time receiver. They really got 2 guys that are really pretty good receivers. The Sumter kid is kind of one that stands out the most. Has a lot of more yardage, touchdown passes. Again, I don't know what his height is. Technically, a 6'3", 6'4" guy goes up and gets the football. They throw it up quite a bit, 3 or 4 times a game, and he usually comes down with it, and then he can outrun people too. And so he has been very, very efficient in that. Again, 4 consecutive games that they've had 30 points or more. That's tremendous. I can go down to the list. I got a lot of things here that lead the conference in. If you go by the first 5 ball games, there's a lot of categories in scoring and third down conversions, and the one that stands out to me the most would be the turnover margin. They're +6. That's outstanding. On the defensive side, if I had to say one area where I think they have most improved has been on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're a complete defense. D-line has done some great things there. They got a young man by the name of Desmond Johnson that's really caused some havoc. It's not just he got 4 sacks and all that, but he does a good job on the run game. Got good quickness, make people miss as far as coming off on the edge. And when he gets a hold of you, then you're pretty much done. They're first in the rushing defense. When you stop the run, that always gives you a chance to have some success on defense. They got one other guy named Portress, last name. Has 7 TFLs. Again, TFLs, sacks. They got interceptions. So there's a lot of good things that they're doing on their defensive side of the ball there that is really causing them having the success that they have had up to this point. I guess I'd like to mention before I get into the injury report, Cameron Jackson and Kyle Carrington are no longer students, so thus they're ineligible to be on the football team. If there's any other inquiries you need to have, please contact Lynn Stevens. They're the Director of External Communications. Injury report, unfortunately, Ernst Anderson just had another surgery on his knee. He's out for the season. Tanner Hartman is out with an upper body. Ethan Crawford's out for an upper body. Will Johnson is out with a lower body. Jeremy Peters will be probable, lower body. Todd Macon, probable, lower body. Malik Matthews, he'll be questionable, upper body. Keys to it, I really look at two things here. Is we must win the turnover margin. We got to take care of the football. We got to continue on defense to cause turnovers. So we got to win the turnover margin, and then win special teams. Those two things, I think, I can go down a whole list of a lot of things, but if I had to say the two things that I think are very, very, very important in this ball game, playing in their place, home, first conference game there, they're going to be fired up and ready. We're going to be fired up and ready to go, and so we're excited about the opportunity, but we got to make sure we take care of those two things and give us the best chance to win. Questions?
Coach, what was the biggest thing you wanted to accomplish during your bye week, and were you able to do that?
Well, I think the biggest thing, number one, was to rest people, take as least amount of reps and trying to get as many people back as possible, and then also the guys who had been playing and they've been bruised up or whatever to rest them. Then the other thing was really special teams, fundamentals in special teams and fundamentals in offense and defense. Special teams was more in our scheme and blocking, trying to making sure we take care of things there in our field goal area, our punt team. And then also from the standpoint of return, we tried to make some adjustment, possibly some personnel things that we want to make an adjustment with. And then on the defensive side, it was really fundamentals on tackling, doing a lot of different drills, more, again, individual work, doing with the fundamentals. Offensively, it was really more just trying to making sure that we doing things in the communication-wise from quarterback to our line to each other. And we thought that was some big area that we need to continue to work on was communication. And not necessarily it was verbal and also our hand signals that were going on to make sure we be able to have the communication a lot better than what we had been in the past. Hadn't been horrible. We did improve here in that last ball game. And so those was those specifics. And there was many other things, but those were the things that stood out the most that we were trying to work on to improve.
With Hartman and Crawford out, with 8 linemen on the depth chart, do you plan on carrying more than 8 down to Kennesaw State just in case the situation arises?
7, 8, 9. Again, we might take one other person. We'll make that decision as we move forward here in the next couple of days and go from there. So all we need is 5.
Coach, what specific conference games are you looking forward to the most? I know we're really focused on Kennesaw State.
That's all I'm on, Kennesaw State. Sorry to be understand. It's Kennesaw State. I'm not even looking past anybody else. we got our hands full with this one.
With conference play here now, do the games carry a little bit more significance, week to week? Is there a little bit more sense of urgency around the team?
We've always had a sense of urgency in every ball game. I know conference games, going to mean a lot from the standpoint if you win all your conference games, no one can do anything about it. You're going to be in the playoffs. So I think from that standpoint of that significance, then there is a little bit more meaning. But we play hard and get ready for every single football game and try to win every game that we can, and that's what we're doing here. So we'll put together a great game plan, and our guys are coming out ready to play, and we're looking forward to it.
What have you noticed with Kennesaw State's ability to open up the offense and throw the ball a little bit more that creates a little extra dynamic for them with such an emphasis on stopping the run?
I think the talent they have, the receivers. I think they've gotten the 2 guys that are, one of them is about 6'4", and I think the other one's probably 6'2" or something of that nature. And so they've been able to have bigger guys and been able to throw the ball down the field, and they've been able to execute it. And so I think they're throwing the ball a little bit more, and they're attacking down the field a little bit more, and I think that's given them some success.
Coach, Zach Fouts caught his first ever touchdown a couple weeks ago. Just talk about him as a player and as a person, all the medical things he had to go through to get here to Liberty.
Well, yeah, I think I praise God for him being able to play the game of football. I know he's very, very thankful and blessed to play the game. Great young man, smart in the classroom, smart on the football field. Has some physical talents where he can, big guy, long, can catch the ball, has a great range as far as being able to catch it. It's great to see him get that catch and get himself an opportunity to have a touchdown. And again, he's still growing as a football player, and I think he's going to continue to be important in our game plan, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but also on special teams. So he played free safety and all that in high school too. So he's a very good athlete, And I think he's continuing to improve, and I anticipate him to continue to get better things each and every day.
You mentioned already the turnovers and their ability to throw the ball down the field. Those two things in consideration, well, your team's taking the football away. How do you think that might impact the game on Saturday?
Well, I think that's mentioned that turnover margin. I think that's going to be a key in the ball game for both sides. They're a control offense, and we're a little bit more up tempo, and so they want to try to give us less opportunities with their game control offense they do, and they are going to go for it on fourth down, maybe more than other people, just because of their offense. And so we got to be very, very efficient when we have the football on offense. And the number one thing is to take care of the ball. If we're able to do that, then we'll find some success and be able to put points on the board. We're going to put points on the board. They got an explosive offense. We feel good about our offense that we're able to move the ball too. But that's why I say the turnover margin is going to be a major factor.
Coach, where's Damian King in his development?
Damian King, he had a little bit of a small little hand injury here the last two ball games. That's why you maybe didn't see him play as much. He kind of fought through it, and there's no issues with him here as we now move forward. So he'll be our punt returner as we go into it. And we're right now still undecided who's going to start in the game as far as at the H position, but they're both going to play as far as Damian and Zach Parker in our receiving corps.
Coach, what have you told your young quarterback of your expectations for him going on the road this week, first conference game? What do you expect from him?
Just play within himself, play within the offensive deals. Again, he's a talented young man, and everything's going to come to fruition if he just does what he's supposed to do as a quarterback. Go out and lead, continue to communicate well, walk in a way that we have confidence in. He has that natural sense to do that. Just mainly trying to tell him, don't do any more than what you think you need to do. Just play the game like you know how to play it, and you'll give us a great chance to be successful.
Freshman quarterback, obviously making his first start a couple weeks ago, then had the bye week. How important has this past week been just for his development and learning the offense?
Oh, it's been good, particularly after he's has played at least a series in the last 5 ball games. In this last ball game, the last 2 games, I guess we played. He's played quite a bit. So, he's played enough ball games now where he understands how to do it. He's played against great competition. And now I think he's past that part of, the bugs or whatever. You're a little bit nervous. I mean, not to say that everybody may not get nervous on the first play of the game, and that's what usually the tradition is. Once you get the first play, once you get the first hit or whatever, you're ready to go. So I think he is prepared. He is very, very intimate in trying to learn the game. And he's a hard worker. He's a hard worker, and he wants to know the hows and the whys about everything, and that's what you'd like to see in a quarterback.
How much was the fourth quarter experience against SMU beneficial for him, so that way going into this road start, it's not going to, the road environment won't get to him?
Well, I think it's been good. Every snap that he's been able to take, whether it's been home or away, I think is advantageous for him. And like you said, he's played in away games and for Virginia Tech and SMU and so on. So, again, it's now just playing football, just going out and representing his team well and honor God and everything he does and use his talent. He has some talent, and now he just needs to go out and do it in his own way.
Coach, what has the team done to work on open field tackling?
Well, we've there've been a little bit of some contact with our players, and we use I call them the compete team, the scout team guys, as far as doing some drills with them. There's all different other type of dummies that things have come up with. We kind of looks like a big donut. We kind of use that as another drill to use the tackling as far as those goes, and then we have all other kind of things that we do with drills, just to continue to take their eyes where they need to be. We've done I guess people may be familiar with the Seattle tackle drill that they have done, and meaning that you tackle a little bit more lower. Your eyes are really more at the thigh pad versus being in the upper body. I guess when I was playing, you more talked about putting your face or your helmet more in the chest. And so most people are now making that adjustment, that you're really putting your face or really your shoulder. It's no longer really putting your face in anything or your helmet in there. It's putting your shoulder at the thigh pad and then running your feet and then you turn and roll. So those are different techniques that we've been teaching our players here. Last year we started, and it's just been a reminder now as we continue to work on those drills.
Justin Sumter's had a little bit of an ankle problem for them. If he's not out there, does that make them a little bit less dynamic in the passing game? And what have they done to be able to get the ball down the field?
Oh, they have other guys. And they're gonna run their scheme. They're gonna run what they run, and their whole deal is they're gonna out execute you, just like any team. No matter what offense you run, you want to out execute the other team, and so they're gonna run and they're gonna play action pass, and I don't think that changes. Obviously, he's a talented young man, and but that's not going to stop them to be productive, as we've seen. Whether he's been there or he's not been there, they've been still very productive in their offensive ball.
Okay. In regards to the bye week, we did a pretty good job, I feel, of being able to assess the first 5 games, the positives and areas we need to continue to be productive in, and then also the areas we definitely need to improve. When you look at the bye week, I will start off with the areas of improvement that we really want to focus on. One is our run gap integrity, and looking at our run game. I've been pleased for the most part in how we've been able to fit the run, but unfortunately the areas that we gave up explosive plays, and it goes for all 3 position groups, we did not have the proper fits. So for me as a coordinator, what's encouraging was it wasn't a schematical issue where we may had one less man than the offensive opponent. We had the fits. We just had guys not utilize the technique that they have been taught. The other area that we want to make sure we continue to focus on is making sure we have the ability to keep the ball in front. We looked at our explosive passes, and really a little bit boiled down to just technique. As I stated, we did make the decision to play a little bit more press coverage, especially early in the season, and just some of the technique issues we got to continue to get cleaned up. I feel very good that we've gotten those cleaned up. So, those are the areas that we definitely want to improve on. The positives is turnovers. We've already surpassed our turnovers from last year, so really excited about that. And then just our ability to get pressure on the quarterback. Our defensive line continues to do a very good job. And we made steady gains in the red zone defense. So we did reevaluate that just to make sure we do a good job when we're getting in the red zone. How we look at it now is the number of plays before we give up a touchdown in the red zone. And so I've been pretty pleased with that. And then lastly, our third down production, we just got to continue to improve on that because we got to get offensive opponents off the field so we can be successful. As we prepare for Kennesaw State, another great offense, option offense, we know, and I take it all upon myself, we haven't done the greatest of jobs against option offenses, but I do feel really good about the focus of our young men. They came back in on Sunday, locked in, ready to go. We know that Kennesaw does a lot of things with the option offense, and so we're really working hard to make sure we put together a good game plan and preparation. At this time, I'll take any questions.
They still run the ball a lot, but they also throw it a lot more this year. What have you seen from them so far that is a little bit different than what they did a year ago? Yeah,
you hit on the head. They're definitely throwing the ball. They got 2 very dynamic receivers, and so that kind of makes it even a little bit more unsettling because they are very good passing the ball. So to really sit here and say they are a true option team, they have the ability to really do much like Jacksonville did as far as just open it up. And so now your calls, we've been discussing late last night about how we can get our calls into our young men and not pigeonhole ourselves when it comes to this call only plays versus this, because they can line up just like a normal offense would and be very successful. So, we feel like we got a little gauge on how we can do that. But like I said, the Kennesaw State offense is doing a great job of really becoming a little bit more diverse than just being labeled an option team.
They lead the conference pretty much in all statistical categories on the offensive side of the ball. What have they improved upon the most from last year to this year on offense?
Well, I just think now is year 2 for them. So, they you can see that they are very comfortable in what they're doing. It's not a lot of mistakes like last year, being their first year. Also, the quarterback, Burke, he's doing a very nice job running their offense, but I also like number 2, Daniels. Those 2 young men bring a dual threat dynamic and then make very smart decisions with the ball in their hand. And so they're not making a lot of mistakes like you saw last year this time. And so I think that you could tell they're very confident. They should be. They're a very good offense. But I am excited to have our defense get an opportunity to play against them.
What have you seen with Chandler Burks and his ability to really sell play action on the option, to really get cornerbacks to bite and get some big pass plays? He had one to open the second half against Missouri S&T Saturday, which kind of blew the game open. What have you seen as he's been able to really work with that option, establish some play action so that way they can get those wide receivers open?
Well, it all boils down to establishing the run game, which they do a great job. Because if they continue to establish a run game, now you're trying to get more young men involved in the run because you have to stop the run. And so once that occurs, and then like you said, Chandler Burks, he's a dual threat athlete. And so you have to really be concerned about his ability to score with his legs. So now when he does a great job of selling that play action, he has all 11 eyes on him. And with the athletes that they have at receiver, all it needs is one bad step, and now you have those receivers catching the ball, and if you don't get them down on the ground, they're scoring touchdowns. And like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with this is year 2 for them. You can tell that they have the camaraderie, and they know about each other. They understand each other and what they're trying to do in that scheme.
How much more explosive does Sumter make them? And, he's had a little bit of an ankle tweak. If he's not 100%, I mean, does that take anything away from them?
I don't think so, just because just watching the Missouri S&T game, you saw that they have some very talented receivers, and their scheme allows them to be successful because, as we just talked about earlier, if the corners or the safeties don't have their eyes right, a receiver getting behind you, they can catch the ball. I do think what Sumter brings is the ability to beat somebody one-on-one when they have to have a play. He's a guy that one-on-one, they just throw the ball up and he finds a way to come down with it. You see that over and over again. But schematically-wise, they don't lose anything just because of the scheme. And so that's what we have to do a great job with eye discipline, so our young men understand that we got to do a great job against the pass as well as the run.
Coach Gill said during the bye week you focused on tackling, open field tackling, more along the Seattle technique, shoulder to hip instead of the old technique of helmet to chest. What have you guys done in implementing that technique over the last 2 years and making sure those guys are a little bit more sound, especially in open field tackling, so you prevent the explosive play?
Well, the biggest thing is just showing the guys on film over and over again. Like I said, you're dealing with young men. I'm not concerned about our athletic ability, but, we still have some young men that want to have that big shot, have that big hit, and you just got to keep getting across to them. There's no such thing as an ugly tackle. And so we went back last week and showed them literally on film again, where are your eyes at? Coach, my eyes are not where you taught it to be. And then we tried to carry that over to the field with the drills that we did. And so, like I said, I feel very comfortable. Like I stated earlier, we're going to get that corrected because it's not a schematic issue. We're not having to reteach our defense so the guys can understand it. They understand everything that we've implemented the first 5 games. And so just like anything, sometimes young men have to just continue to get the reps to realize, okay, Coach, I get it. And so I'm excited to see how we respond the next game.
You played Jacksonville. You ran some option earlier in the year. You saw some success that game. Is there anything you can draw out of that game to apply it to this game as far as defending the option?
Yes, it definitely helps our young men to have an opportunity to see the option, more or less for the O-line, to see how they come off, how fast they come off the ball. That's normally the toughest thing for our young men to get used to, is how fast they come off the ball, and they're just really trying to cut you. They're trying to cut you, take your knees out, And so now our young men have experienced that a little bit. So that's definitely going to help us. And then, of course, we've gone back and watched that film, too, just to try to pick up anything that maybe Kennesaw can see that we definitely got to improve on. And so, yeah, that definitely helped us. Yes, sir.
Certainly, we had a really, really good bye week. Thought our guys had an opportunity to get away from the building and recover and rest. In addition to that, we had an opportunity to get 2 days worth of solid practice in preparation for Kennesaw State. I felt like our guys were able to kind of process and download the schematic structure of what they're trying to do before a break, and then when they came back on Sunday, did a really good job of executing the plays that we had installed so far. Thoughts going into Kennesaw State, they play a very, really solid brand of football. They're very, very disciplined, very, very aggressive. They have a unique style of defensive coordinator, have a lot of respect for because he has a lot of passion for the game, and you can see that his team reflects that. So we're excited to get on the road and play a quality opponent.
Talk about their unique style on defense. What do they do differently this year? What do they do better?
Well, they don't have the greatest size per se, but they play all-out effort to the football. From the time the ball is snapping to the whistle blows, they're going to give you phenomenal effort. They're very, very physical. They're not afraid to match up with you, physicality-wise. And they bring some unique pressures in the secondary and at the linebacker position. So, like I said, they play a very unique brand of football, and their passion is definitely reflected on tape.
Finally got your quarterback position settled with Buckshot taking over. What were you able to communicate with him over this past week during the bye week as far as, not necessarily on field work, but, in, watching film or whatever areas he can improve?
Things that I alluded to in previous weeks of, you got to prepare yourself more so mentally as a starter to play this game because it's about being disciplined and not being distracted by internal or external factors. And so for him, being able to calm him down, be able to go through his progressions, and to do so mentally before he ever gets out on the practice field. So once he's rehearsed those things, once he actually gets out on the playing field, it's just second nature. We always talk about learned behavior becomes instinct, and the only way you can do that is if you get repetitions. And when you visualize things, your mind can't really tell the difference between reality and a dream. And that's why our dreams are so vivid. And so we talk about that a lot at the quarterback position, is playing things out in your mind mentally before you ever get in this building or you ever get out on the practice field.
What specifics are you anticipating from B.J. Farrell with him in matchup to Kennesaw State's cornerbacks?
Well, he's a young man that has a unique skill set. 9 times out of 10, if the football's thrown in his area or his vicinity, he's going to get his hands on it. And so when the opportunities present themselves this week, we're going to give him an opportunity to make a couple plays. How many? We don't know. Our offensive structure doesn't allow us to say X, Y, and Z is going to get X, Y, and Z amount of footballs. Each play is a separate entity, and at any point in time, all 5 eligible, receivers or ball carriers can touch the football. And so with that being said, he can get it every play. He may only get it once. But when we do, dial up his number, we expect him to make a play for us.
Coach Gill alluded on the Big South Conference call that worked on the running game this past week. What have you guys worked schematically to try to get something going against the Kennesaw State defense that's been particularly stingy against the run?
Well, we always talk about the run game is about being physical and understanding where my feet, hat, and hands have to be in relation to the football. And if you're a step slow, if your hand is in the wrong place, if your hat is in the wrong place, then you're behind the 8 ball, so to speak. And so we really, really try to hone in on my hat, hands, and feet placement in regards to an internal or external run. And those things right there, just those small little details right there are going to give you +2, +3, +4 more yards in the run game. But it's about being synchronized and all us understanding, hey, where do I have to be in relation to the football?
Coach, with Stefan being the backup, what's he doing as a captain to continue to be a leader on the team?
Well, Stefan was a captain far before he was ever the starter. Prior to to being demoted, and so the reason why he was named starter was because of his work ethic and the attention to detail that he brings to the table, and really, the spirit that he operates from. Stefan is never going to change. He's been the same gentleman he was day one until today. A hard-working young man. He's going to give you everything he has. He's going to have a phenomenal attitude about it. And so he's really kept up with, who he was and who he continues to be. Nothing's really changed.
Going back to the run game a little bit, you and I talked in the bye week about, the different factors of why it does or doesn't succeed, and some of that's on the quarterback making the right reads and, run pass option plays. With Kennesaw State doing some different things defensively, I mean, how important is it for, Buckshot to go out there, make the right reads, and what can they do to challenge him on that?
Well, like we say every week, it's a different battle in terms of, the schematic design of the game plan versus the opponent's alignments. And so with that being said, we're going to have a lot of the same things that we've done in weeks past in addition to some new wrinkles. And with that being said, a lot of it's all off the same keys for the quarterback. Nothing really changes for him in terms of where his eyes have to be. So with that being said, it's just really a matter of him being able to recognize, what they're trying to do, specifically to stop an internal run or an external run. And he's been really, really good with that in weeks past. I mean, a bunch of those plays that we had called 2 weeks ago were run-pass options, and he was able to see it really, really well and make really good decisions. And so we spent a lot of time of studying opponent tape and understanding, pre-snap and post-snap movement and where the football should go, predicated on the movement of the defense. And so he just has to continue to do what he's done in weeks past, and he should be successful.
Anything else for Coach?
About midway point of the season, are you pretty okay with the amount of plays that the team, the pace that the offense has been able to run with? I know you got the new offense installed and talked a lot about a more up-tempo pace this offseason.
Yeah, each week, like we talk about, it's a different battles, a different game plan design, and that entails the tempo in which we play with. Sometimes we want to slow down, sometimes we want to speed up, sometimes we want to give the illusion of speed. And so with that being said, we've mixed a lot of different tempos here, throughout the first 5 ball games. We want to get a chance to see, can people handle the intensity of tempo? Can we keep up with the intensity of the tempo? Because sometimes you can play fast and go nowhere and have your defense back on the football field, and that's not what you want all the time. And so we've tried to be really, really smart, depending on where we are in the game, the situation that we're in, whether we need to continue to put our foot on the gas or we need to slow down to help our defense out, because if we're going 3 and out a bunch, it does you no good to go fast. 30 seconds of possession does your defense no good. And so with that being said, depending on what the situation is in the game, we may speed up, we may slow down. But I'm happy with the progress that we made in that department, in the sense that our guys have been able to comprehend what we're trying to get done and understand really, when it helps us versus when it hurts us.
Just kind of along those lines, I mean, is there a certain number of plays that you want to see run this week? Do you want to kind of speed it up this week against Kennesaw?
Well, when you play an option football team, you got to be cognizant of the fact that their game plan is designed around eating up the clock. And so you get yourself in a situation in which you're going 3 and out, that's less opportunities, obviously, to hold on to the football and make plays. And so going into this football game, we're going to go about it the same way we have, these past 5 ball games, is try to make plays as early and as often as possible, and then feel out the situation, once you get to a point in the game where, hey, we need to press the pedal or we need to slow down and get ourselves in the right football play so that we can be productive once we get into a 3rd down situation.